delay, so I'm like, oh shit, are we live? And like, I just don't know how to start it. Um, we're back. Loose Canon is back. It's I'm pretty sure it actually has a delay too, because I just saw it. I saw my like mid speech there. Either way, uh,
Holla.
you might notice that Guardian is also missing. His spot is still there. It's because
Yeah.
his computer updated and some audio issues are happening now. So we're just gonna try to hope he fixes it. I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat down here on my phone. Hopefully he can join us because I mean he knows a lot about Ahamkara as well, and that's what we're talking about this week. We're talking about Ahamkara, Riven, the last Ahamkara. Good stuff. Good stuff. Who wants to start it? Like, tell us a little bit.
Well, I want to just correct something. The last known Ahamkara,
Yeah.
just to be,
Pretentious.
no, just to be accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, a month ago, we didn't know that there were any Ahamkara left. It was everybody's. I know there were hints, but it was everybody's understanding that the Ahamkara had been wiped out.
Yeah.
And now we discover that there's actually been quite a few Ahamkara in the reef since the Ahamkara hunt.
Yeah. Well, since the Ahamkara, the Great Hunt.
Well, yes, I think so. I mean, which was it? Ao who told the Warlocks that I know maybe we're jumping ahead here, but Ao told the Warlocks. Actually, maybe that was pre Ahamkara hunt.
That's what I mean. It kind of sounds like how much of it is pre. Like I know, so like the earliest instance, or at least the self-proclaimed earliest instance of Ahamkara comes from Uldren finding the Ahamkara that chose the name Riven and bringing it back to the reef. That was like immediately after the Awoken re-emerged into the system. And Mara needed a new power, something that made her stand out.
Yeah.
And
so I guess in my head I was thinking that the order of events was, Uldren found Riven. There were several Ahamkara that came to the reef. The Great Ahamkara hunt began.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess I can't think of why I thought this. Maybe it was just a misconception. Then post Ahamkara hunt, Ao was still around, and he told a bunch of Warlocks about the reef. But actually, yeah.
Well, so
Maybe, but I don't know why I thought that. Now that I think about it.
So let's kind of explain. I'm sure everyone has some vague understanding of what an Ahamkara is, but an Ahamkara is essentially a dragon. That seems to be one of their most popular forms. I say one of their most popular forms because the Ahamkara can kind of shapeshift at will. They can become what they want. They can become what you expect to see of them. They can become what you don't expect to see of them. And as such, they can also grant wishes. So if you wished for them to be a penguin, I'm sure they could just become a penguin. It's a pretty dumb wish, though. God, what was I about to say?
Could they be a luck dragon?
Huh?
Could they also be a luck dragon?
I mean, they don't sound that lucky. What was the Ahamkara from the What was the Ahamkara from the Garden of Acelia? Avarim, was it?
But was that the basilisk?
The what?
The basilisk.
The basilisk?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Either way, so Ahamkara were found by the reef, essentially as proclaimed by Shirochi, one of the Queen's Techians. The Ahamkara were first found by the reef and then later found by Guardians. Riven was found, I'm assuming, on Venus because they kind of comment about how Riven left Venus and it was like, oh, there's so much to feast on here. Why would I hang out on Venus? And so, like, remember back in D1 when everyone saw the batadactyls flying in the Venus skybox.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my god, those are Ahamkara. And then
That's such a
Bungie's
great
like, no,
ride
they're
and
not.
drive too, and
The
that
what?
opened up my eyes to what they were really. Because I had the same thought when I was playing at first. I was like, oh look, Ahamkara. Those have to be Ahamkara.
What
And
else
then
would
they did the
be?
ride and drive, and we were like, oh, they're
Yeah.
just batadactyls.
Yeah, just
Just
batadactyls.
batadactyls.
I mean, like, but they could be Ahamkara. They could have just gotten
Sure.
smart and they just like took this form and they just like tell people like, nah, I'm a batadactyl. I'm not an Ahamkara. And
For
it's
all
like,
we
oh,
know,
okay.
those little weird frog toad things could be Ahamkara that are found on Nessus.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if the shapeshifters, anything could be. It's like, oh, there's a lamp. Wait, it's an Ahamkara.
Baxter's
Like-
an Ahamkara.
I wonder if they could become material
What do you mean?
items.
Like a
Could they
gun?
become material items? Like, could they become inanimate things, or are they
don't know.
strictly
I-
stuck to like biological?
There is no instance that I've read where they are
Right. Yeah.
inanimate
Yeah.
objects.
And that's kind of
Just
just like the
gonna
black
sound
swan,
stupid.
you know.
Mm.
It doesn't exist until it does exist.
Yeah.
So
But I think
never
that
really say.
that the shape shifting is really interesting because it almost, so to an extent, one of the things that Ahamkara do. Yes, they're wish dragons.
Yeah.
But they try and reconcile this difference between how the world is and how we would like the world to be, and that
Right.
to them is like that's kind of what they feed on. And I think a really good example of that kind of explains why Ahamkara. So that there's this story about. Let me just get his name right. Savin.
Okay, yeah, 7.
Yeah. So Savin is well, I don't know what his status is right now, but Savin used to be awoken. Well, he's still awoken, but he
was a I'm assuming if he became a guardian, he must have been the Earthborn Awoken.
Yeah.
Just to kind of clarify some terminology, the Awoken were created in the collapse, and they were in this like segregated like universe called the Distributary. And then Mara led a group of Awoken away from the Distributary, and it became Distributary Awoken and Reef Awoken. And then after they became the Reef Awoken, they divided again, and they became Reefborn and Earthborn. Even if they weren't physically born on Earth, even if they were born in the Distributary, they're considered Earthborn because they consider the Earth their home instead of the Reef. So just go on.
Because
Yep.
it's when they were separated.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
title was given
When
to them on the
new
departure.
lineage took over, and
Yeah.
that's when the branch of the tree split off.
Yeah. And so Savin, I'm assuming if he became a guardian, because he's an awoken guardian, I'm assuming he must have been Earthborn.
Yeah, but he could be similar to Zavala. You know, when we see the cutscene of Zavala, he wakes up in a crashed ship. That's the point that he's resurrected. At this point, I guess Savin and Zavala, while they may be awoken and have the same kind of latent abilities that awoken have, he has none of the history, none of the recollection of the past that led him to that point.
Okay,
So-
but here, wait. Before you go there, wasn't the bargain with the Ahamkara after the collapse? So, like for instance, if you're thinking about Zavala and all the other characters that we know now have made a bargain, so we know that the Ahamkara happened after the collapse.
Yeah, but so did the Awoken. The Awoken happened. All Awoken were created, kind of at the
At the
Awoken
point
didn't
of-
exist
Right.
until the collapse happened, and so if we're talking about Awoken, that has to be post-collapse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So aren't
So-
they synonymous with one another? Like as far not like synonymous, but aren't they like parallel with one another's story?
Well, Zavala is Awoken, so he must have been born in the he must have been awoken in the Distributary.
Yeah, he was
Which means-
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he left
So-
he left with Mara,
Left
and then
with Mara.
he either became an Earthborn awoken, he decided, okay, Mara, I'm going back to Earth to save them, or perhaps he had a crash, like he got shot out of the sky by something and he just crashed on Earth and then was resurrected. That's what I mean. It seems more difficult for a Reefborn awoken to become a guardian because they wouldn't want the light there. They wouldn't want ghosts there. They have their own plan.
Going. Yeah, they got their own place and a good thing going. Why would they want to leave?
Well, they had a good thing going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Mess at the moment. But the point that I was going to make when I talked about Savin is that he is captured by Uldren shortly after being risen by a ghost and taken to the reef. And what is interesting, it's in the entry Savin. So Riven responds to Savin's arrival in the reef, and
Riven
it says here
being Mara's Ahamkara.
Exactly, yeah. So it says,
say that 3 times fast.
most of all, though, the queen was curious about the reaction of her Ahamkara, which had begun to salivate and to assume a form more like the guardian expected, monstrous and befanged.
Oh, okay. I see what you're getting at.
So it's kind of, in a sense, Ahamkara, even in reef lore, the Ahamkara are devious.
Yeah.
But the form of a dragon that we refer to them as seems to be very, guardians expect that.
Yeah.
And it actually reminds me of the we talked about that lore entry, what was it? The Ulantan one, 1,000.
Oh, the 1,000 Wings.
Was that 1,000 Wings?
Yeah, the ship from the Spindle or the Whisper.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find the quote.
That really bothers me. That like extremely bothers me that we have Zol, the Will of Thousand, the 1,000 Wings, and now we have Riven of 1,000 Voices and the 1,000 Voices, or 1,000 Voices. Like,
in a way of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, in a way of 1,000 cuts. Clearly, something's going on here. I'm an Ahamkara.
Perhaps.
So am I. I made a bargain.
I just didn't know. I just didn't know,
I'm
guys.
stuck
I'm
in
sorry.
the subclass.
Yeah.
Equally, though, that is the best subclass.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
I mean,
so good.
So the first subclass that I unlocked was the Night Stalker one.
Same. Disappointing.
It's
good,
well,
but it's disappointing comparatively.
It's for Gambit. It's good. It's good for going stealthily and killing people without them realizing.
I have to complain about this though, because now that we're on this topic, I know it's immediately deviating from freaking Kara, but I almost had an overkill monger, which is kill 80 enemies without dying. Do you know how fucking hard that is? That is not easy. That means you have to go 3 rounds because you're fighting your team to get kills. I had 77 kills, no deaths. I pop my freaking spectral blades and I go attacking a knight. Swipe, I phase through him. He turns around and kills me.
Kills you. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the worst. They gotta fix that.
I'm never using that subclass again.
Yeah,
It just
the
ruined
hit
it.
detection. It's kind of similar to. I know somebody posted on Twitter that it's a bit like how
Year
Ox
3
Strider
Blade
used to
Dancer.
be. Blade Dancer, sorry. Yeah.
What'd you call it?
I said Ox Strider, but I mean, it's.
I heard Ahamkara Strider, and I was like,
oh yeah, it's the new subclass, Ahamkara Strider.
that would be awesome. You summon an Ahamkara, you just go fucking messing with people. See, I brought it back. But so that's actually a really interesting point. So maybe the dragon comes from Guardians, because actually that's not even the earliest instance of Ahamkara that we understand. I don't know how canon it is, but in Cade's journal talking about the Golden Age, everyone fled to Venus because there were these reptilian creatures, which makes them sound much smaller. It makes them almost sound like...
Yeah, like they were babies.
Yeah, no bigger than like a Komodo dragon, I'd say. And I wouldn't say that they're babies. I'd just say that they're assuming a form that's smaller. And
can I tell y'all a story real quick? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, of course.
It's okay.
All right, so Destiny 1, when the beta happened and we were playing for the very first time, I remember sitting down, starting up Destiny 1, for the very first time, and my son, who was probably 9 at the time, was this like 4 years ago? So yeah, like 9 at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and he looks up at the Traveler, and he goes, "Dad, what's that?" I said, "I don't know. It's the Traveler." And he goes,
Mm-hmm.
"It looks like an egg." I was like, "Yeah, it does. It does, buddy. It looks just like an egg." He goes, "Well, whatever hatched from that egg is going to be really mad when it comes back." And I was like,
Mm.
"What did you just say?" And
Oh,
then
so
so he
yeah.
just like was had this whole idea that the egg was that Traveler was an egg, and that that it was a dragon somewhere. He's like, "Are you going to find the dragon now?"
The
Mm.
mama dragon's coming to look for the traveler egg
Yeah.
that we stole.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's like such a loose theory, but like it can't really be disproven because like kind of the
I
traveler
know.
grants wishes too. So I mean,
Mm.
kinda,
Kind of.
but
I
no.
guess that, but the traveler's less like a genie and
Yeah.
more. I mean, what is
More
the
like a
traveler like? I
Well,
don't
like
know.
everybody talks of the Traveler, you hear it so many different ways. He's a singular entity. He's almost like a person, and then you
She.
hear him. She is a
God.
person, and then you hear it as like a god, and then you hear it as like many things, and then you hear
Hmm.
it as split entities, divided amongst all the ghosts that inhabit our solar system,
Yeah.
and then you hear it as a collection of all the light that's gathered around that has now fragmented across the solar system.
Hmm.
So it's like, you know, I mean, it can be whatever it wants to be, but it's just you just have to play with what you've got.
Yeah.
So
But
the Ahamkara, if they're born from the time that the collapse was over, and then
well, they were
onwards,
they were here before the collapse. They were here in the golden age, and
right?
that's kind of my or they were here in the golden age, and that's kind of my point. They were seen as this
Hmm.
reptilian creature that had like an interesting protein, so like everyone wanted them. It had limitless possibilities, and it kind of feels like golden age humanity didn't understand that the Ahamkara. It almost feels like the Ahamkara were like vaguely granting wishes through the protein that it had limitless possibilities, because well, to talk about like some of the Ahamkara, to jump ahead a little bit, like it seems like they want to be killed. They want to be used because by killing you fulfill a pact. And so if the Ahamkara present themselves as these reptilian things with a protein that it has limitless possibilities, grants this wish, people are killing them. Ahamkara are creating this pact because they're kind of parasites, and that's actually what they were called. Actually, parasitic reptiles. I think it was, to be
Mm.
completely accurate.
Mm.
But so then, does Mara not remember that, or was that a secret that the government hid? Because Mara remembers the Golden Age, so like,
Hmm.
there's a few possibilities to go on there, or maybe it just got dropped as a canon fact.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's mentioned it's kind of just mentioned in passing in Cade's notebook, and yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how much of any of the stuff from that is actually canon, which is a shame because there's some really interesting stuff in there.
And so then we have Golden Age. They were seen as reptilians. They don't sound too big. We have Guardians who see them as befanged, very draconic. Is that the
Hmm.
adjective? And then there's also the Awoken. They expected nothing of them, so they came as they were.
Hmm.
Which means, like, what the hell are they then? Like, at the end of the story, we fight the voice of Riven, which is uh, defined as a chimera. Is that
A
what it
Camaro,
actually is?
a bitching Camaro.
What?
I don't know.
I don't know what just happened.
A Camaro.
A Camaro? Is that a
Oh,
car?
yeah, that's a
Yeah, it
car.
Yeah.
But
Don't think
so
we fought a Camaro.
was a
yeah,
bitching Camaro.
Hmm.
it's in the like mission text on the side there. It's like
Yeah.
defeat the chimera, but
Hmm.
this chimera spoke Oberamine, or "Oh brother mine," it appeared as Mara until it was already too late to get away when it revealed its true form, and it was like summoned. It needed the light and the dark to be summoned. It doesn't rub me the right way. A part of me feels like, is that
part of the bargain, trading some of your light?
No, like, is that Riven tricking us? Is like,
yeah.
Well, we have that form in another way as well.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
There he is.
dude, look at who's here.
Yeah. Audacity is recording, but Discord won't work, so I'm doing it on mobile and computer, so it's working out.
Wow.
But so we have, in one of the missions, we have the same exact entity show up again, so they can't be just Riven.
But it's not called the voice of Riven that time, and that time it really just looked like a weird servitor.
But what was it called that time again?
I forgot.
It has a different
It was
name.
the greed of Aziva Wrath.
Yeah, exactly. It was a different entity, but it kind of, both of them, like, if anyone wants to make the argument that the voice of Riven was just a servitor with details added on, I would agree. But this one was like actually a servitor, and that's why it feels different to me.
Well, it still had that weird mouth.
It did. That's true.
He was.
I remember, because that's how you get a critical hit.
He's the angry anus.
Yeah.
But is that? But,
no, but
like, is that to say that's how the Ahamkara is meant to be? Maybe
I would say no, because Riven's still locked up inside, and so we don't see anything except illusions from her. Because she's not, she's not like
but was that
acting
an
as
illusion?
Mara. She's showing illusion of Mara. So I think the voice of Riven is an illusion.
And that's essentially what I'm saying. I just didn't have the words for it. Was that an illusion of Riven? Like, that was its true form? Because then when we fight Riven in the raid, it's kind of got like tentacle things as well. Or maybe that's like the larva form of Riven, like that's the adolescent form, and then like a full maturity Riven is what we actually see in the raid.
I think it could either be like that's the illusion of what Uldren would probably fear the most. Like maybe something, because that's kind of what the Ahamkara do, is they appear to you how you want to be seen, or how they want to be seen. How you expect he appeared as Mara to trick him there, and then she would turn the illusion evil.
Why would he need to scare him? I mean, he was like, think about that though. Like if Riven's right there about to consume.
Less to scare him, more I think to efficiently kill him. You know, because that's a formidable.
To efficiently kill him, Riven, or the voice of Riven, could have just appeared as Petrovenge and shot him in the head.
Well, I mean, to eat him.
To eat him, I feel as though there's more to it than just.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is maybe his emotional
but
response had to feed him somehow, or his fear was feeding him, or something. Maybe. Something in there.
I don't know. I mean, I feel as though everything that had happened, like.
I just feel like it's the tentacles that are the important bit. Like,
I love tentacles.
It made this form of tentacles with a big gaping mouth to immediately consume him. Like, it was the most efficient way to eat him. Like, without becoming Mara, and then like her jaw unhinges and she eats him. But like, even if it was Mara, he might be able to like overpower her, right? Like, he's coming to him as Mara, he can fight Mara. But if she's coming to him as a monster, can he fight a monster? And I feel like maybe a fear was a part of it to disarm him, you know, to be like, oh my god, what's this, and like kind of take him back a step, so it like had that opening to be like, and now I got you.
Maybe he was wanting to consume him somehow throughout. Okay, so if Uldren's wish was to find Mara, could that be?
Well, actually, Uldren's wish was to revive Fikrul.
But I mean,
he wanted to find Mara, but he never wished to find Mara. He wished to revive
he never
Fickrell.
officially wished to find Mara?
Yeah, he never officially wished to find Mara because he thought he had found Mara. He thought Mara was speaking to him, guiding to him how to get her out. So like he was completely convinced like this is Mara. Not if he was like oh, this is Riven, I wish for Mara to be back, and then it would have been like kind of done.
But then how? So okay, right. Let's say that's the case. I mean, I agree with you. I do agree that he didn't wish for Mara because he thought Mara was talking to him.
Yeah.
But then, so did Uldren know that Riven was back in order, or not back, that Riven was still in the Dreaming City in order to wish to revive Fickrell?
No.
So how did he?
He accidentally wished. There's the scene in, or there's a card in the Forsaken Prince where he found Fickrell dying. He had multiple golden gun shots in his chest, and he was like, "I need to do something. I need to fix him." And then it's like this intangible voice is like, "Do you wish it?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course I wish it." Like almost like kind of secondhand wish, like unintentional. He was basically tricked into wishing.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking
kind of
all
like
of that was just kind of a trick, like you were alluding to earlier. If Riven was getting us into the raid so that he could unleash his ultimate curse,
yeah,
once we go
exactly.
into the raid, we're being led across these. We're being led with breadcrumbs across this trail and ultimately be duped so that he can get to his next form.
Yeah. So I actually want to go back a step before we continue into like raid Riven, because I want to talk about like Ahamkara specifically, because obviously we've all been like hoping for the day that we get the Ahamkara. Like we want to see the Ahamkara. We want to fight the Ahamkara. We want to know more about the Ahamkara. We've been obsessing about Ahamkara for 4 years, and we're finally getting it now, and it's like so amazing. And it was told to us that they had knowledge, that they knew questions that we didn't even know to ask, or they knew answers to questions that we didn't even know to ask, but they had too great of a price, and so they had to be hunted into extinction. But we were always like, well, what's that price? Like, and that price is that whether or not you even make a wish on them, they're there to kill you. They are cruel creatures that feast on your death. They trick you into seeing what isn't actually there, so you freely walk into your death. And
you got it. That was it right there.
What?
So the shape-shifting forms that you're talking about, where Riven has showed us that the Ahamkara can shapeshift. And so they're leading you across these breadcrumbs so that they can trick you into your own death, because that's wherein lies their power or their bargain.
Yeah, that's
their ability.
That's what they feast on. Like that's how they feed themselves.
Oh, okay.
That's the cost. They're going to feast on you.
Does that in some way resurrect them?
No, I don't think so. But the death is a pact. Like that's like the second half of it. The first half is that literally just having an Ahamkara around you is probably going to end in your death. But the second half is, even if you do kill them, now you're fulfilling, like there's no winning with an Ahamkara. You can let them live and they can kill you, or you can kill them and they can, whatever the next part is. We still don't know part 2. We were just like kind of figuring out part 1. But I think the Ascendant Challenge of last week was found in the Garden of Asila, which the Garden of Asila was actually a place of a massacre by an Ahamkara named Azarim, who comes to the garden, and Asila is all like, "Oh no, you're not allowed here. You're a freaking cruel Ahamkara." And he's like, "Come on, like I never killed any of you. I might have toyed with you and tricked you, but I never killed anyone. So like I'm fine. Come on." She's like, "Fine. Today's like a day of celebration. I'll let it slide." And he starts singing with them and making everyone happy. And he kind of like. He says, and Azarim said to those who knelt enraptured, Come, let me sing to you of extinction. Let me sing to you of lives lost in beautiful places, O audience mine. Sing with me, sing. And he kind of like got them to go on like this parade. He told them stories and like made them like just amazed by everything that he knew. He had them in the palm of his hand, and then he leads them essentially, and they did not hear the singing stop. They did not hear talking about the people who weren't singing, like the other awoken around. They did not hear the singing stop, and they did not hear the bodies dashed against the shore below, and they did not see Azarim grow or laugh or flee. He makes everyone who's there singing see the ground in front of them. They're in the reef.
And they're like lemmings, they walk off the cliff.
They just walked right off the cliff, and they died on the shores.
And so what was the part right after that? You said he grew.
He grew from it too. So like, does that mean like Riven is that big because he ate that many? Like he killed that many?
And so they had to lock him up.
Or is it granting the wish also feeds you? Because like that's kind of what he said. Like he kind of alluded to it.
Egg, right? Isn't he still like the egg that he came from? Isn't he still just kind of hanging on to the thing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, there's something one of the artists posted on ArtStation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, the render of Riven
in his form right now.
Yeah, the raid form of Riven, and he is clambering and wrapped around a giant egg.
Yeah, he's straddling the egg. So if that's his egg, is he still in the type of like umbilical form where he's still kind of feeding off some of the egg nutrients until he grows enough to where he can go away?
He was trapped there.
I don't think that artwork is canon.
Yeah,
I don't either, but I'm just kind of speculating. What if he's stuck where he is right now? I mean, because what's preventing him from just taking off?
Mara wished him. She made him build an unescapable cage, and then wished him inside it. She was really smart about her wishes. She created the wall of wishes, which made it. She would make her wishes through the wall, and as such, it made it difficult for Riven to like twist it to his own desires. It made it like very like lawyered it. It lawyered her wishes, and so Riven just had to grant her the wish that she wanted. And when she wanted this cage that could hold an Ahamkara, he just had to grant that wish. And then when she wished him inside the cage that could hold an Ahamkara, he was trapped inside the cage.
And so then the Wall of Wishes was built after that?
No, the Wall of Wishes was built, and she used it to trap him.
I see.
And now we can actually make wishes at the Wall of Wishes now too, which is awesome.
Right.
The Wall of Wishes is like a big calculator, effectively.
Yeah. Like what it actually looks like, yeah.
Yeah.
But even in its output, it basically outputs. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know what it outputs, but it outputs things in such a way that they are completely like mathematical, completely locked down. So there's no room for interpretation. Like language, you can easily read between the lines. You know, if somebody says, you know, I wish that I was rich. Like, what does that actually mean?
Exactly.
Like, there's so much room for interpretation.
Yeah, right. And the Wall of Wishes prevents that.
Yeah, it's like the old folk tale of catching a leprechaun, and it tricks you into wishing for something nefarious or whatever.
Yeah. Or even stories about genies, you know?
Yeah. The earlier
Monkey's
stories
paws.
about genies, our Disney version of genies nowadays don't really line up with the old style, but
yeah, I know.
the old ones are pretty tragic.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of it's like the classic "Be careful what you wish for."
I did find an old ancient story. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not even going to attempt to just destroy it. But there was an old ancient story of a reptilian figure that people used to make wishes to. It was the weirdest thing. It didn't have a lot to it, and I think it was in.
Are you sure you weren't just watching Dragon Ball?
Oh, that's what it was. It was Dragon Ball.
I'm trying to find. So I don't know if you know Lowlines, who makes the Lowlines, the guy
No,
who
I know.
makes the.
I know.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't watching the camera, so I couldn't interpret the expression of your.
I had a wall of
face.
wishes up. That's okay.
Very
DestinySets.com
clever.
if you ever want to look up.
That's Josh
awesome
Hunt.
place.
Yeah, that's
And-
Josh Hunt.
And lowlines.com are invaluable.
No, it's not lowlines.com.
It's
It's a
like
lowly.
AU.
It's a lowlydev.com.au.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
annoying to find. I just go to
Yeah.
his Twitter and I just hit the
I
link
do
there. I'm
too.
like,
I
I'm
just
not, I'm
click
not,
on
I'm
his
not
link.
trying to remember this.
But anyway, he's been recording all of the
Pilgrimage lore.
Yeah, the pilgrimage law, and there's hasn't been anything that's like
Groundbreaking.
really changed. Yeah, nothing groundbreaking, but it's so good to
See it.
get
Yeah.
to get confirmation of things in the game that are in the law.
From the dialogue, yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
is
I
it,
was just
is it confirmation? Because there's such a matter of perspective to it. Like, what does Shirochi actually know? Because like, do they know
Well, that's-
everything? Because I don't think
that's-
they do.
that is you're right. But when you were talking about what's it called?
Azarim?
Azarim, there is a pilgrimage for that particular location.
Which like references it. That's awesome.
Yeah, so one of them says dozens of good people died walking over these cliffs.
Oh,
They were lured to their death by an Ahamkara during a celebration of the solstice.
yeah.
Those creatures, they can turn on you in an instant if you aren't wary.
That's awesome.
But then there's different variations of the same recording. So another one says this was the site of a mass murder. An Ahamkara of immense power tricked dozens of civilians into walking right off the edge of these cliffs. We saved none of them. And to our great shame, the Ahamkara, Azarim, he was called, escaped. And I think there's another one as well, but I won't go through all of them. But it's just, it makes me. First of all, Ahamkara are in the game,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Well, one at least.
One at least, but I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
The fact that we can, that we can. Ao's nest is in the game.
What?
One of the pilgrimage location is
Yeah,
Ao's
Shudder's
nest.
Yeah, I saw that.
I love that they finally just like were like, yes, of course AO's an Ahamkara. Why are people debating this? And there was like, yeah, like they explicitly were like AO Ahamkara. No more. Like no more of this debate.
Yeah. So I'll read what I won't read all of the variations, but this bowl was once a nest for Ao. He was a sly little Ahamkara, always laughing, always twining around your legs, whispering lies, saying, "I have seen your eyes, O witch mage mine." We never expected him to go bad. Although, to be honest, I think based on the rest of that sentence, I would have expected him to go bad. But
I mean, like,
I'm no techie.
when AO was eating sugar, like you have to expect him to be whispering lies as well.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I think something really interesting about Ahamkara is that they kind of talk about the magic that they use, the illusion magic. So like you see the reef and there's all these like really reflective crystally surfaces, and it's because illusion magic doesn't exactly work with a reflective surface. Like it shows them as they are. So to like if Riven were to be appearing to Uldren in front of a mirror, he might like see the Mara in front of him, but the mirror would show the voice of Riven.
Mm-hmm. Potentially, anyway.
Potentially.
Yeah, there's something, that there is another pilgrimage scan or whatever you want to call them, where it says the reason we have all of these reflective crystals around is so that we can. I can't remember exactly how it's phrased. It doesn't say like that they can actually see through the Ahamkara's lies.
It just like
but
assists.
Like mirrors kind of help to kind of see through through it a little bit. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Gordon, you're pretty quiet. Is it just your mic or are you just not speaking up?
No, I'm just not speaking.
All right. I just want to make
Just
sure.
listening.
because like I
everyone here just has such good thoughts. We're just like every now and then, I'm just like get fascinated by listening to everything.
Yeah, I just heard like a little like it sounded like a whisper, and I was like, oh, is he talking? And like to just like really quiet because I didn't want to be like just talking over you the whole time.
I'm good.
And so then we got like a lot of confirmation on Ahamkara. Like Mara mentions how there are still Ahamkara bones on Venus whispering. So like with the sealed Ahamkara grasps, it mentions dipping these bones in silver helps with the auditory hallucinations. Oh, listener mine, or oh, bearer mine, whatever it is. And so it's like it's kind of like that's part of the pact. You have the bones left over. They're still going to talk to you. You still hear them. And we have so many awesome cards now. I think it's from the raid lore. I'm pretty sure it actually talks about the Great Hunt. Like it says how it says like Pradith wished the hunt would never end, and they just like kept hunting the Ahamkara over and over. And at the end of it, it had like a little mention of like a static of intercom, and I was like, is that how he got trapped in the vault of glass?
Ooh.
Like is that his intercom like coming through? Like that's him trying to talk to him, say like don't wish for that, like you're screwing yourself, like trying to get himself out.
Ooh, that's a good thought.
He wished to hunt the Ahamkara forever, so he got stuck in a world that could make it happen.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to tell his past self, don't do it.
Yeah, like stop wishing for this to go on forever, because like the Ahamkara, they granted that wish, they granted that wish, they granted that wish. He kept wishing it to go on forever, and then they didn't grant it. But then they did grant it in the Vault of Glass. Like they picked when to grant that wish, like because that's how they interpreted it. He didn't say I wish for this moment of fighting Ahamkara to go on forever. He just said I wish for this to go on forever. So they can pick the when. You know, that's how they twisted it. They screwed him into the Vault of Glass.
Yeah,
that would be really interesting.
It's definitely
Saladin. You guys read that one?
Yeah, that was nuts.
He fucking wished for an actual dragon to fight, and he's going at it with one of those axes.
Yeah,
like that's so awesome. Fucking Saladin.
Way to go, dude.
Dragon killer.
Right. All of them are really. I mean, yeah, they're all kind of crazy. Really, it's hard to believe that we have all of these insights into the Ahamkara hunt when, for like the past 3 years, we've had nothing, hardly anything.
Like, remember, was it Warlock 2 that said, like, not the brawniest Titan, not the whateverest hunter could defeat an Ahamkara. And then it's like, we have this card of Wai Ning trying to just beat the Ahamkara with brute force and failing. And it's like, literally, not the brawniest Titan could defeat an Ahamkara. Because like they need more than brute force. It just went on forever, and it actually attracted the other Ahamkara to the fight.
Yeah,
it's like they mentioned they wanted to feast at the same table. Ugh.
That's kind of interesting as well, because when, you know, like obviously warlocks are kind of associated with like knowledge and wisdom, and it's interesting that maybe. That's it's 100% correct that even though the Titans helped, it's like, well, actually, you're just giving the Ahamkara what they want.
Yeah, you're feeding them with the fight.
Yeah, your desire is to fight. By desiring that, you are feeding the Ahamkara.
Yeah,
and you know the warlocks. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's like maybe it's like a mental place.
It goes back as far as Salus and Finn. Remember in Destiny 1? I always go back to that. Every time a new thing of Ahamkara comes up, I go right
By then
back.
It was already too late.
Yeah. It just was amazing, that story of a warlock. And it wasn't until his 5th life that the Ahamkara spoke to him. And by then, it was too late. The 5 lives of Albios. And Salus and Fane. I mean, we know there's other Fanes, you know. I mean, it's just like they're building upon this guy that was barely mentioned in D1, even a little bit. So he's always been an enigmatic character.
So then, the 5 lives of Albios. Do you think that's exactly what happened? Like, what we just kind of talked about. The Ahamkara trick you into your death. So,
Yeah.
Albios died, resurrected. Albios died again, resurrected. So-and-so to the 5th life. And then the Ahamkara spoke to him, but it was already too late. Like, maybe on his 5th life, he was like, oh no, like, I see the trap now. And the Ahamkara is like, oh,
and
well.
He fought because we know he had a last stand.
Yeah. Like, the Ahamkara was just like, it's too late for you. Like, you fell into my trap. You're seeing it when you're in my trap, and now you're dead.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff in that story. This, like even the bond. This bond represents the one thing Albios took with him into the swamp: a single lantern. It's just like, what?
It would be cool to have a kind of a more swampy location in the game.
We kind of get that with the.
I mean, Venus, sort of.
The EDZ, the sludge.
Yeah,
that area. It's a little swampy, but it's not really swampy. I'd like it. I'd like a disgustingly swampy area. That'd be awesome.
Well, I think like, okay, not a trace of him is left. Only the swamps of Venus remain.
Yeah, obviously Venus has swamps, but I'm just saying to actually have that in game would be really cool. Like where like most of the area is like you actually like wading in the water and you can't run as fast because it's so deep with like muck.
I would love to go back to Venus at some point.
So then let's bring up the Dinis Emrys, the sparrow, the exotic sparrow with the little red dragon on it. It's made by.
Wait a minute.
It's owned.
That one. Okay, so before we go down this road, I just want to point something out. Some of the new lore items that came out are blatantly referencing mythological, like actual mythological stories. And that one was also probably one of the first blatant mentions of a whole nother mythological story outside of Destiny, but somehow it's emerged in the lore of Destiny, because that has to do with the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur. But go ahead, because it's pretty cool.
I just wanted to say Ariadne Gris is kind of been brought up on charges to the consensus under the speculation that she made a wish on the dragon on an Ahamkara to get this super fast sparrow, and like they're like really concerned about it. They're like, did you find an Ahamkara and make a wish on that to get this sparrow, because there's a dragon on that sparrow? And there's like such this like fear about it because like Ahamkara are so dangerous, and then like Dead Orbit thinks it's stupid. Ikora Ray thinks it's stupid, and like some people are like uber serious about it because it's like they know how dangerous an Ahamkara is, and other people are like just like, oh my god, it's a fucking sparrow.
But I love the Ikora Ray, just the burn. Obviously, Grizz has not had contact with an Ahamkara. Yeah. How do you know? If she'd had, she'd win SRL more often.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Ikora.
What is that? Maybe is that enough proof that she actually had not had contact with an Ahamkara? Because I guess if you wished for like the fastest sparrow, would you not get the fastest sparrow?
Yeah, and then it's just people wishing against each other's wishes.
And then, so Tallulah Fairwind, right? Was the first Hunter Vanguard from, right? It was Tallulah Fairwind, Osiris, and Saint 14.
Yes.
And so then we actually have the bow from the raid, the Tyranny of Heaven, which apparently Tallulah was in like playing blackjack with a fucking Ahamkara that appeared to her as like a grandma, and it's left so open. I'll just read. Basically, she loses, and she's also playing with her friend Caliban 8. Don't do this, Lula. You don't you leave me here. I can't do it. The cards went down. She'd lost. The hunter vanguard tossed her bow to the Exo as the Ahamkara came around the table to collect his winnings. A dares, man. Good luck. She didn't scream. Wouldn't have been dignified. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, she got taken. She got killed.
Like,
she was consumed by that Ahamkara.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's what happened.
But that's
you don't think
the,
so?
The flavor text is, "It was she that inspired me to imagine your destruction, O jailer mine." So, like, what is this? Did Tallulah, like, capture an Ahamkara?
Caliban got to walk away from that.
Yeah, Caliban walked away from it. And it almost sounds like Caliban became the next Hunter Vanguard.
But he was also in the Sabathin's mission when we went to go save him and he got killed.
Was that Caliban 8?
Yeah. Isn't it?
I know it was
Caliban.
Tycho 3.
No, it's Tycho 3, but I don't remember.
And Caliban.
No, that was the name of the fire
no,
team.
The
Taliban.
Was called
No.
Caliban.
Taliban.
It wasn't called Taliban. That's a different thing. Don't confuse the two. Wow.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Fire team Taliban.
Wait. No, Caliban was in the mission, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
He was the one who had the distress call. And
But
Tycho was going
he
to
isn't. He is an alternative interpretation.
He's
of
not,
this
though.
Entry.
All right. I don't
Okay,
know.
so an alternative interpretation of this entry. It says a dare. We know that there were at least 2 guardians. One of them was a hunter. I expect both of them were hunters, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that...
That's what I'm saying. Caliban
Somebody made
became the next.
No. This is when Tallulah became the hunter vanguard. This is her losing the dare.
The bargain. I mean, the dare was the... But what?
You think that's how the Hunter Vanguard was originally created?
Maybe.
Don't do this.
No.
Okay, wait.
I mean, I'm just saying it's an alternative interpretation.
Okay.
Because, like, I don't think an Ahamkara consuming a guardian would result in Caliban being like, oh well, see you later. Like,
okay, so the
and so this isn't a scream because she's being eaten. This is a scream because now she is a hunter who has to stay in the tower, which is like worst case scenario for a hunter. I think many hunters would rather be eaten.
That's actually probably true. I could see that reading this like entry. I could see that being true.
Why is it so horrible for somebody to be a mentor in the tower?
Because they're all introverts.
Is the tower purgatory for
but at the same
for hunters?
No, not for guardians. Like the difference between like your stereotypical Titan wants to be in an army. Your stereotypical your stereotypical warlock wants to research things and learn about the world. Yeah, your stereotypical hunter wants to be out in the wild on their own, learning, like being a hunter, being an individual. Like individuality is so important. It's more important to a hunter than to other classes. That's not to say that they don't appreciate individuality. It's just to say that it's a core part. It's one of the most important parts of being a hunter.
Yeah. So actually, from the Man They Called Cade showdown, the first challenge of honor between those who'd one day call themselves hunter was it the Tuvel Valley Jump, the Shade Runner's Sprint, the Moonlight Draw, Kuba Soul's Last Stand, the Great Scourge Hunt, the Lesser Scourge Hunt. No one knows. I sure as heck don't. So he kind of lists off a bunch of possible firsts, which seems really weird. You'd think they would know their own history. Like, there's all these...
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Apparent. But, like, if they know Tallulah is the first, they should know what Tallulah's dare was, right?
But equally, like, the hunters want to kind of build up their own mythology about themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's quite possible that if Tallulah... Now, obviously, this is all just a theory. I'm not saying that is what happened. But if...
A famous Titan did it, too.
If this was the first dare, would she want people to know that that was how she lost? She lost in a game of cards with Caliban and an Ahamkara.
But like I'm kind of saying that to support your point because the consensus wouldn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have covered that up. But so it says, "Don't do this, Lula. Don't leave me here. I can't do it." That's Caliban talking. So it sounds like the dare was Caliban's dare, not Tallulah's dare. Like the dare was, I can beat an Ahamkara in a game of cards, and Caliban's like, no, I can fucking beat him. And Tallulah lost, Caliban won, or other way around, I guess. He won, but in winning, he lost. You know, kind of like how Cade won. Cade and Andal went up against Tannix, and even though Cade won, he had to become the Vanguard because Andal died in the process.
Yeah, that's possible.
And he says, "A dare's a dare, man. Good luck." Kind of mocking him, like, good luck being the Vanguard. You know?
Yeah.
So I think
I feel like that seems very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all, yeah.
I was going to say it could be Moonlight Draw, though. Draw cards. If this is the first, Moonlight Draw could have been this. Eclipse across the table.
Moonlight Draw.
Does it say what game they're playing?
Hand of Cards, 20, it crooned as it raised the stakes. She saw Caliban's eye sensors dilate. The game had started... Yeah.
All in's poker.
Yeah, but 20?
I don't know. That's true. Well, no, but that could just be
That's blackjack.
No, but that could just be the number of chips that she was... that the Ahamkara was putting in. 20 it crooned as it raised the stakes. I don't know enough about cards to have this conversation. Like, obviously, in blackjack, you know, you want to get
20.
the closest to 21.
Yeah.
But you don't say all in. You don't say call,
poker.
and you don't say all in
That's poker.
in blackjack.
Hold'em has a river of 3 cards in the middle, but then it's still not 20. There's no significant number in 20.
But is that not just the number of
chips?
chips?
It could be the bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it could be.
She says 20. He says call. She says all in. So, no. It was, I'm going to raise 20. I'm going to call the raise. And I'm going to go all in now. And
I love the level of detail that we're going into on the game of cards.
Yeah, I think
So, I'm going to say on a slightly different topic, I would actually love if this entry was about a hunter becoming the new Vanguard, just because of the rest of the
I'm like positive
text. But it's like, so think about so the first one is Tyranny of Heaven, and the other one is, it was she that inspired me to imagine your destruction, O jailer mine. Yeah. Like, I feel like that'd just be great. I feel like when you think of destruction of oh, you have to now go to the tower, or Tyranny of Heaven, it's you have to go sit in the tower, which is heaven to Guardians, but it's the tyranny of the heavens, you have to go deal with that.
Yeah,
it's it makes it a little sweeter.
Oh, sad.
So that would be pretty funny if the hunter dare was actually created by an Ahamkara. That was an idea.
Dude, that would be crazy. Somebody, bargain any hunter. Would be so messed up.
I wonder if that's something that Ahamkara could feed off of. Okay, you're making a dare with another hunter. It's I wonder if that's something that it's because someone's losing, someone's winning.
Yeah, somebody has a
it's kind of like
somewhere.
A win. Yeah.
It's you got the title to the car.
Yeah. So there's some Ahamkara out there that's dead that's just using this, just screwing with hunters. It'd be fantastic.
So
it's horrible.
I think it's also important to kind of timeline the Great Hunt, right?
Yeah.
So the Great Hunt wasn't just Guardians. It seems like the Reef had also. If you look at the exotic armor, Oathkeeper, it talks about how the Reef were actually also hunting the Ahamkara. It's talking about Shurido. This was on her body, your grace, how she was found dead. and I'm assuming it was the arms, which the exotics are. And her bow, gone. Hugin, Munin, which are the two skulls that are in the Dreaming City. The Ahamkara are dead, and their bones are silent. But Petra has, who? A Corsair recently titled Child. So, like, it's just talking shit about Petra. So, a Corsair. She just became a Corsair. This is even before she's the Queen's Wrath. So that means it's also before the Reef Wars, which it then even further verifies. Our spies in the House of Judgment tell us the wolves plan to attack Hygeia next. I love Shore, but as I love all we have lost, and I grieve her, but if we divert our attention now to vengeance against an unknown enemy, so it's kind of saying something. Oh, actually.
Well, that does that make... So this is saying that...
Something else killed them. That's my bad. So before the Reef Wars, something killed Shore Ido, Hugin Munin, and Munin, the Ahamkara, to the extent that even their bones weren't talking.
So, could this be, we learned, now we're going off on a tangent now, but could this be the Aphelion?
Maybe. That's kind of where I'm going with this now.
Yeah.
Some unknown power.
Just to give some context, because I don't know if this has been... I haven't seen anybody really talking a lot about the Aphelion anywhere. But there are a couple of... I don't know if there's any law entries, but there are a couple of pilgrimages that talk about the Aphelion.
For lore entries, I'm pretty sure there's like one or two. Oh,
I just looked it up. Yeah, so there's this Bamberger law entry.
Yeah,
which seems to be like a record of an Aphelion attack on the reef.
Wait. I'm sorry. I gotta interrupt you. It starts with money sign, then it drops a line. Money sign, copy Bamberger, Orin, RCL, JN3Y, JPY. Q79YER. Paladin Orin, every time he has ever been brought up, it was speaking in code. It's speaking in code.
Yeah.
So you can continue now. I just want to make that clear. Like people listening, people watching, go to the card Bamberga from the book Dreaming City. Look for a code in here. There might be something.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. I'm currently just trying to find a code. I should continue what I was saying. I apologize. So yeah, there is this other enemy, and we have absolutely no idea what it is that they are. Well, so one of the things that
the outermost reaches of space, Aphelion.
Interesting. So one of the things that Shuro Chi says, I don't have it to me, but she says that the Techians have weaknesses to certain enemies. The Taken and the Aphelion. And we know that we have records that show that the Aphelion attacked and they killed some Techians. So yeah, maybe they have powers to also silence Ahamkara bones. But saying that, Hunan and Mugen, we can't talk to them now.
Yeah, but is that to say that they weren't talking? Like something happened and they're like about it?
Well, Mara did help kill all the Ahamkara except Riven. Like she did. Yeah, so there's one of the cards called The Greaves of the Great Hunt. And it says the queen was glad to help them clean the mess if it meant Riven would be the last living Ahamkara.
Oh yeah,
ours
right.
Unique power more so. So I could see like they had Hugin and Munin, and then they went silent after they saw Marazov help slaughter their kind, pretty much.
Because I know Eris partook in the Great Hunt, and she was fighting with oh yeah, so the Great Hunt actually also happened before Twilight Gap. That was part of what I wanted to say, because there's one of the Great Hunt entries. It's Zavala, and Eris looking at Shax, who is like sitting with the Ahamkara skull on his lap, and he's kind of like talking to it, kind of like nurturing it, like saying goodbye to it. So Zavala was considering going to comfort Shax to say like, "Hey, are you all right?" So like, they haven't spoken to each other, like they haven't been in the same room or shit, right?
No. Zavala and Shax don't have a problem with each other. It's Saladin and Shax.
Yeah, but doesn't it kind of carry to Zavala as well?
I didn't think so.
Maybe that's just my interpretation. At the very least, it's before the Great Disaster, because
It is
Eris
definitely
still
before
there.
the Great Disaster. I struggle with it if it's before Twilight Gap, and Guardians didn't find out about the reef until Twilight Gap. How did Mara Sov get involved in the Great Ahamkara hunt?
They must have known about the reef because of the.
I think there
Awoken.
are things that show that people did know about the reef, because with all the Awoken come back, the Awoken know of the reef. So as soon as Awoken started showing up on Earth, they knew about the reef.
I think it's
Plus, there were
that no
plenty
one
of
knew
dead
where the
orbit
reef
scouts
was.
out in the solar system. There were plenty of dead orbit scouts running about trying to find stuff. I mean, even the famous A113 card about the dead orbit scout finding a place that, he said, strike it from the records, or go tell them strike us from the records, blah blah blah.
Blatantly,
so I mean, they
some
knew
sort
of things. There was
ship.
mentions of it.
But yeah, so like I think they knew of the reef. I think it was more about not knowing where the reef was. But that is a good point, because Eris lost her light during the Great Disaster, or post Great Disaster, and she has her light here during the Great Hunt. So the Great Hunt definitely happened before the Great Disaster.
Yes, I would agree with that 100%.
Huh.
Was the Great Disaster before? That was before Twilight Gap. So I feel like it could. I mean, it's not confirmed, but it could be assumed a little bit that the Reef Wars happened relatively soon after the Great Ahamkara hunt. Because if it was because of that Munin and Hunin were silent, that means Mara pretty much pissed them off by hunting down the Ahamkara, which would have been right before the Reef Wars. Because they were right in the middle of the Reef Wars when that card's brought up.
What killed Shur Ido, Hugin, and Munin, though? Like that's the question. It's something killed all three of them. Mara wouldn't be happy if someone has killed Shur Ido. Like,
maybe they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, but
there's a card where it's like Eris is talking to the Queen, saying like don't trust the Ahamkara, like you need to murder them or stay away from them.
Yeah,
so
not knowing
maybe
about
like
Riven.
Yeah, so Mara might have killed, like had the Awoken kill Hugin, Munin, like all the Ahamkara in the reef besides Riven, because her plan was to have Riven be the last Ahamkara.
But that's what I'm saying. Shur Ido died with Hugin and Munin. So who killed the three of them? When did that take place? That took place. Hugin and Munin died before the Reef Wars. So the question is, did the Great Hunt happen before the Reef Wars as well?
But it's interesting that a strange coin lay at the center of Abra's outstretched palm. Like, is that a strange coin, or is it a strange coin?
Where are you reading that?
In Oathkeeper, the second line. A strange coin lay at the. This was on her body, Your Grace. A strange coin lay at the center of Abra's outstretched palm. Mara took it between thumb and forefinger and held it up to the cosmos with dainty contempt.
I feel like that sounds like it's probably an actual like strange coin, because the strange coin would know are attached to the 9, and to have her say like with dainty contempt, that kind of sounds like the coin is from something. So it sounds like it could be attached to the 9 that she does not have a great relationship with.
When you were talking about the Bamberga lore, Anon, and you were mentioning how that's in scripted code. Was that?
Yeah, it might be. I don't. After looking through it, I'm not seeing anything. So this would be the first instance of Orin not triggering a code.
Yeah, but at the end, the part where it says money sign delete APHEL .REL.
I don't know. But so I just want to quickly just like go back to Oathkeeper because it Mara calls the coin Wergild, which is
where guilt. that pops up twice in the lore.
Yeah, they say there's no Wergild for killing an immortal. Essentially, if property was stolen or someone was injured or killed, the guilty person would have to pay Wergild as restitution to the victim's family or the owner of the property. So whoever killed Shurido, Hugin, and Munin also paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just like accidentally there. It's like they're saying this is our compensation for it, which makes it kind of sound like the 9. That, you know, like they would have done that.
Can we talk about the 9? Or is that going off on too much of a tangent, given that we
are kind of reaching the end of the show. Like, I don't want to get too deep into it. There's just so much to talk about when we're talking about Ahamkara. Like, we're just like figuring it all out as we're going, really.
Maybe
so will this be?
We can talk about the 9 a little bit because I feel as though.
Yeah, no. Let's get into the 9. Yeah. What do you got to say?
What have I got to say?
Yeah.
I'm confused about the nature of the 9, and like are the 9 awoken?
Doesn't seem to be.
There are a couple things that make it. I feel like this is getting back into like the Mara Savathun thing, where it's like it could likely not be true, but there is stuff that kind of makes it feel like you can make a case that it is true. But it's kind of more like spin-foily, where there's some stuff that makes it feel like the 9 could be the 9 awoken that were missing from Distributary.
Yeah, that's what I originally thought when I saw that. They had 40,900 people and only 40,891 came through. Like, why that number? That is way too specific. And then
I think you have
on it.
Several oranges. Oh, sorry.
Just to touch on it really quick, since we're actually saying that, Captain Kex believes it's actually the Antius Ward rig, whatever. Exotic boots that kind of hints at who the 9 are. It says like how each planet has its own kind of cosmic identity. There's
space hippies.
Yeah, there's a Mercuriform, Luniform, or whatever.
Form. Yeah.
Venusiform, Terraform. And they mention there's 8 of them, of course, or I guess 9. Like it says it's something like that.
If you count Pluto as the 9th planet, yeah.
So,
well, I mean,
but there's a card that shows that the 9 are actually only 5, I think.
Yeah, there's only 5 left, and they say that the other ones are going to come back. So,
it might even be that it's not that the 4 have left, but just they are no longer taking part in the discussions. You know, like
yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, okay, that's actually a good argument for Kex's point then, because if there's 4 left, I was looking at it, then who are the 5? Like, there's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. That's only 4. But what if it's the other way?
Mm-hmm.
Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are the only 4 planets we've actually gone on. So what if it's Pluto, Uranus, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune? What if those are the 5 left because the other ones are still in the light?
But equally, I mean, you know, the reason that Pluto is not classed as a planet is because there are plenty of other planets in the planetoids in the solar system. Yeah. So like maybe Pluto isn't one of them. I mean, it doesn't really change the argument, but like, you know, why not Nessus? Nessus seems to be.
Well, okay. So anyway, that card, I think it just as far as that item goes, it goes back to the old argument of what is the you know, because doesn't it say like what are the nine? And if you look at the records from a long time ago, what is it? Legends 2. Legends 2 is what it always pulls up for me. Legends 2 has all the different theories of what are the nine. And I think that's just one of the theories of all the different people's interpretations of the nine.
And they've kind of talked about that too. Destiny. Like they've
so
referenced the ghosts that came back and stuff, and like there's like things like that where it starts to make sense.
Here was always my assumption is that Legends 2 card is true in a way, because if you read every one of them, I used to think that each one of them might have been the secret to what is the nine. So which one is it? Which one isn't? Well, as the years have gone by, I've just assumed that all of the definitions they have for the nine are true in a way, and it's more meta than we thought. So like, for instance, when you talk about the Ahamkara shape-shifting and you talk about what are they, well, there's no real defining character. I mean, there's no real definition for it. The nine are kind of synonymous that way. They have their own. It depends on who you're asking. What are the nine? It depends on who's telling you what the nine are. The nine can be a deep orbit warmind who weathered the collapse. The nine could be ancient Leviathan intelligences. The nine could be mysterious transmissions. I mean, it's just on and on and on. Well, they could be all of that.
Yeah.
So, kind of a thought I just had, which is very spinfoil. So, when going back to the whole history of the Awoken, like, we have the 9 Awoken that are missing from Distributary. So, what if Mara was not the only first one to awake, and there's 10 of them that awoke, and Mara decided that she wanted to create the Distributary to guide the Awoken to get them back to Earth to save them, and the other 9 that woke with her first decided that they want to go off and be the 9, essentially. They wanted to be another cosmic entity and become gods, like the Awoken wanted to, and what started the Theologian War was they thought that they should be gods. So what if 10 of them awoke, and 9 of them decided to go be gods, and Mara said, no, I'm going to stay and create this world.
Yeah,
and go back to Earth.
That would be the first
That's kind of
Legends 2.
That's kind of like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
They're like, the Templars are like, oh, we all want to be gods, and then one guy's like, nah, fuck you, I'm making the assassins. They're the same. They're the same people.
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah.
Because we see Mara constantly has some form of relationship with the 9, and we have no idea like how that came about or where it's from. So I feel like that'd be a really interesting like twist on the story that would make the Awoken a bit more interesting, is if the 9 were like the 9 that awoke with Mara and decided that they wanted to go be gods.
So, I think that's a good point. The fifth line of the 9 Grimoire card is the 9 are the firstborn awoken, and their minds now race down the field lines of the Jupiter Io flux tube. So I don't know about that last part, but yeah, I mean I'm not sure.
I think that would be like, to me, that's like they chose to ascend. Like they chose to ascend to a higher plane of existence, so their minds are racing down. Like, so they've kind of gone into a new plane of existence where Mara decided to stay on this plane.
Mm-hmm.
So
different realm.
So like, think about the Legends 2 card, because we get so many different interpretations of what the 9 are. That means we're having essentially 9 different perspectives. We have 9 different people saying 9 different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible that some of those people are awoken. It's possible that some of those people were there in the Distributary. It's possible that some of those people were higher up than the Distributary. It's possible that some of those people knew Mara personally and were very close to her, and maybe they overheard something they shouldn't have. Maybe they knew Alice Lee. Maybe Alice Lee was like, there are 9 other people who weren't here, and Mara was the first. Like, maybe Alice Lee knew she wasn't the first. She's like, I wasn't the first. Mara was the first, and there are 9 other that are missing that we couldn't call back. Maybe there's something like going on. Like there's conspiracy within the reef, and people are actually understanding that Mara's up to something.
And I could see that card, I think, probably from like a game development standpoint, that was most likely Bungie going, okay, we don't know what the 9 are, but we want to establish them as mysterious, so we're going to put this in here, and kind of like, this allows us to play with what they're actually going to become. Because even Awoken history has changed a lot. So it's like, it could just be like, okay, we're going to throw this out there, and like, we can kind of work on that later.
I kind of
like,
disagree
these
with
are kind of
that.
what we're having the ideas, but
Well, I think.
I
Sorry,
know.
You go on.
Yeah, I just want to say this really fast because I know, like with Destiny 2, a lot of people felt like, all right, so I guess Bungie. I heard someone like refer to it as like they believed that Bungie had like this great Bible of everything that's gonna happen in Destiny, and then when Destiny 2 came out, it kind of felt like maybe there isn't one because it's kind of felt like they didn't know what they were doing and everything just shifted. But I feel like there are bullet points that they've kind of locked in. Like they had this idea of who the Nine are. They have this idea of what Ahamkara are. They have this idea of who the Awoken are, who the darkness is a bit of a different one because they kind of admitted they were like, well, we didn't really know what we wanted the darkness to be, and I feel like they meant that kind of like metaphorically. Like they didn't really. They kind of approached it where like everything's the darkness but not actually everything, and then they were like, oh, that's actually a bit of a mistake. We shouldn't have said that. We shouldn't. They painted in black and white, and then they realized how that was bad, and they were like, we need some grays in here. And I think that's what they meant by we didn't know what we wanted the darkness to be. Not literally they had no idea what the darkness was, because they've been building up. They've kind of had this line that has continuously built up the darkness without contradiction. It's been growing, and it's not been like saying, oh, well, now I have no idea. I've been like, oh, I'm getting a further understanding. And I mean, like, not to like brag or anything, but like back in Destiny 1, I was saying the Ahamkara were shapeshifters. So like to see that come to fruition now, it's like there's been this kind of feeling.
They have. I completely agree that there's probably not. They haven't written everything in advance.
Yeah, absolutely, not everything, but there's bullet points.
Yeah, there is definitely a direction that they're moving in, and I even think certain things like or Bear of Mine, for example, that has always been even since the very early days of Destiny 1. That has always been a phrase associated with Ahamkara.
Yeah, they decided it, they locked it in, and they kept it going.
And the Books of Sorrow kind of threw a bit of a spanner in the works, but it didn't change the fact that this phrase is still associated with Ahamkara. Yeah. And now in this expansion, we see it all the time. And I think that's a really good example of something that was clearly a bullet point that has been expanded upon over time.
And they use it to like they planted the seed of O Bearer Mine or O whatever mine of this is Ahamkara. So then when they really want to mess with us, they put that in, and we're like, whoa. Well, that's Ahamkara. Why is Callus saying that? Like, why is that associated with him? Why is that associated with Oryx? And we're like snapping to these decisions, and they're toying with us like that. Like, is Oryx being controlled by Ahamkara? No, he's not. He's being controlled by the worms, and the worms aren't Ahamkara. They're whatever the worms are. I personally think the worms are Ahamkara, but I'm saying Bungie can use that device to trick us.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I would say that when we first learned about the worms, I said, yeah, the worms are Ahamkara. And I think there are definitely similarities between whatever Zol was and whatever Riven is or was.
Yeah.
Like, there is definitely a connection there.
It almost... No, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I think... it is like there are so many pieces of the puzzle that are coming together, and there is still room for different like solutions to that puzzle, which is good. I would hate to just be suddenly given all of the answers, but I feel as though, and like Bungie have a map, maybe not down to the nearest like smallest detail, but they have a map of where we are going, and I think the last 3 or 4 years have definitely demonstrated that.
Yeah, there's been a lot, and like, what was it like in like the first couple months we got the cloak of the sixth reign, and we've only ever known Mara, and it's like we're kind of in this like presentation of Mara being the only queen ever. Like it's going back to their earliest history in House of Wolves with the Maraid, and we're like, okay, well it's still Mara. Like Why is it Maraid? Like, what's up with this? Like, how long has Mara been here? Where are the other 5 queens? And now we're finally seeing the Awoken are like immortal beings, and there were 5 queens before Mara, and Mara is the last and true queen of the Reefborn Awoken. So it's just,
it's pretty cool.
There are little hints too that
they like to toy with us. That's all I'm saying.
The hive and the Ahamkara are kind of doing something like that thing I posted on Twitter when I was just like, what is this? When you can see that the hive lock that they have on that one, mysterious door.
Yeah.
The little keypad and their glyphs match up and line up with what the Awoken have. On their lock
the
door.
Wall of Wishes.
Yeah, what is going on there?
I think that's like Bungie tricking us again. Like, we see the format and they're like, "Oh, let's use that format for this lock." That'll mess with them. That'll make them, because Z even tweeted out that GIF about the is this a bird with the butterfly meme? Not the GIF, I said GIF. And it was like, Destiny players, is this a puzzle? Like, literally at everything we're going, what does this mean? And it was like immediately after she tweeted that the lock was found and the Wall of Wishes was found. And it was like,
oh, wow.
So it was almost like she knew it was about to happen. And she was just like, I'm just going to get on this
Nudge.
now. Yeah. What do you say? You want to wrap it up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
good point
should.
to stop.
We've reached a natural stopping point.
And I know, like, I like that we kind of brought it back to the 9, because we kind of started with the 9, and I was saying the 9 are Ahamkara. Like, I was leading in with the 9 are Ahamkara, and now I'm like leaving it with the 9 are not Ahamkara. The 9 are clearly the Awoken. And I'm sure at the next expansion I'm like, okay, the 9 are not Ahamkara or Awoken. They're actually war minds, and it's just gonna.
Yeah, we'll slowly work our way through the list.
Yeah.
Maybe add some new ones on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can we just say everything is everything?
Yeah. So what do you guys want to talk about next week?
I don't know. I mean,
it's not like
we
stay
talk
on
about the
topic
9
anyway.
too much this time?
It's not like we stay on topic
pretty
anyway.
good.
So
we stayed on topic this time with a direct. Anything that was not on topic is a direct connection to our topic. So
we bounced around a lot with Ahamkara and other things.
Can we just talk real second? What in the world is going on with that ornament that nobody's found yet for the what is it? The fusion rifle from the raid that looks like Zer's face.
What?
With the tentacles sticking out.
well, does it though?
It does to me.
What?
Yeah.
Let me
Link
just
it.
see the
Link
comment.
it. Link it
Oh my
somewhere,
God,
because I
it's
need
so
to see it.
crazy.
Is it concept art or is it like actually
Yeah.
in the game?
Well, we haven't found the ornament in the game yet.
so maybe it's just concept art and it doesn't exist.
Yeah, maybe. But my God,
I mean,
why
like,
put
I
that
know
out
there are people out there that will say if Bungie made it, it's canon, but that's not
No, but that's the point of the show. We're loose cannon, so
Yeah.
we're just trying to speculate.
true. Yeah.
emphasis on the loose.
This is definitely some loose cannon right here.
Super loose.
It might be good to. Oh, I just googled images 1,000. Was it 1,000 voices?
Thousand
That's
Voices
ornament?
is a new fusion rifle.
Yeah, so it's the 1,000 voices ornament. I just googled that, and it's loads of Christmas ornaments, which I have been surprised at. Really, Destiny. I would love to talk about. Did you see the video recently? Somebody found Callum's grave.
Really?
Callum's grave? I found Shiraido's grave.
No, Callum's grave is in the Ascendant realm this week.
Dun, dun, dun.
I
Now,
thought wasn't that? Is it in the Ascendant World or was it in the Strike? I thought they found it in the Strike.
Oh, maybe it was in. I don't know, but it's in the Ascendant realm.
The Corrupted Strike has a lot of
Yeah, it was
Ascendant realm.
It was the
for
Yeah.
Corrupted Strike.
I think it's
Okay, maybe it was the Strike. But yeah, there's a video somebody shared on the Ishtar Collective Discord earlier, and it is.
Don't plug that.
I'm gonna plug whatever I like. And it's kind of like there's a shadow of a guy with a white, like a shadow on a wall, which is the name of the grimoire of the lore entry where Callum is killed.
That's Artifacts and Old Friends.
Oh, sorry, you're right. There is another one called Shadow on the Wall.
Yeah, there is, but that's not where Callum died.
What is that one about?
Fake news.
Hey, Shadow on the
Yeah,
wall.
essentially, it's a middle, like it's a place where it's just all of a sudden you have, like there's just a shadow against a giant rock.
No, Shadow on a wall is the one where Callum.
Oh yeah, Artifact and Old Friends is when he found out about Callum. You're right.
Yeah. So, apology accepted. So there's this shadow on the wall, and there's like a white hole where his heart would be, and on the ground there is like a broken ghost.
How the hell does that make sense, though?
I have no
Are you
idea.
telling
Why
me
would
that
be?
that Shin went into
No,
the Ascendant Realm?
No, I'm not. But the thing is, people don't build architecture in the Ascendant Realm. Like why are parts of the Dreaming City in the Ascendant Realm? Like that doesn't really make sense.
Because they did.
Because someone was just playing around in the map.
Well,
No,
okay, sorry, okay, maybe they did, but
because
it's kind of
that's
like,
how the Ascendant Realm is kind of like a parallel world on top, and they used the Ascendant Realm to make what they made. Like they kind of like pulled from each other to like piece together the Dreaming City.
It is a really weird thing to see in the Ascendant Realm, though, because it's not something that you're just playing around with. Like, it's very, like, unique. So I could see it being, like, it could be something.
But, like, I guess maybe what we could talk about next time is, like, the relationship between the Renegade and the Drifter and the Shadows of Yore. Since I feel as though...
Do you want to do that next week?
I don't know. Well, okay,
I would say either that or, like, next episode. I would say either do, like, that, where the Drifter would be a good one, or the other one would be, like, Mara's Sov specifically.
That was what you just suggested.
No, I'm agreeing. Yeah, it's like I'm agreeing, like, the Drifter would be a good one.
You said either that or the Drifter or Marasov. Like, either that or Marasov. That's whatever.
I'm bad at talking, so yeah, but I think it's like either the Drifter, that story, or continuing with this and kind of talking about Marasov and her plan.
Yeah. All right. Well, in 2 weeks, count them 2. That is that's actually October. Time to get spooky. On October 7th, we'll be back and we'll be talking about something awesome.
Woohoo!
And it's probably going to involve a lot of Ahamkara and the 9.
Probably. Like, what doesn't these days?
I know. It's all we can focus on.
Yeah.
It's all just a giant lie from the Ahamkara. It's a giant conspiracy.
There is kind of an issue here. Loose Canon is made of entirely hunters. And I run Way of 1,000 Cuts.
Likewise, like, why would you not?
And Rhino?
Same here. Yep.
Guardian?
Nope, I like my invisibility.
All right, so then clearly Guardian's the only non-Ahamkara. We should kill him.
He's already dead.
Bye.
No, I'll just be the new Hunter
everyone.
Vanguard and suffer.
Yeah, that's a great idea.